All right, good morning, everyone. I want to take a moment and thank all of our room moderators for getting all of our participants prepared with all their handouts and setting up the equipment. I certainly do appreciate that. And I just want to thank each of our participants for joining today's resume writing session. There's a lot of information that we need to go over. In this format, it makes it a little difficult to ask in-depth questions. So I'm going to encourage you, if you do have further questions after the session, to reach out to your customer service rep in the front desk or your career advisor that you're working with currently. But I hope that you guys have a pen and some paper to take some notes, because these are super duper important. And you're going to want to write some things down. So if you don't have a pen, you can ask your room moderator to either get you a pen or a pencil. And my hope for you all is that you'll get some wonderful information to help you in your job search. Okay, so let's go. Let's get started. So what is a resume? Well, we all pretty much know what a resume is, but just to preface everything, a resume is a document, whether it be digital or on paper, that in short tells a potential employer what your experiences are, your skills, your abilities, your education, share our contact information, obviously, but basically our work history, whether it be education work, because education is work, and our regular work history, we share that with a prospective employer. So this is our little time clock. All you've got is time. Well, not really. We need to get your resume out there, right? So you can start getting the jobs that you're looking for. So let's get busy. Let's tackle this task that can sometimes be cumbersome. With the new information that you guys, some of this is going to be new to you. It was new to me a few months ago. And I've been teaching resume for over 5 years and written a lot of resumes on my own. So it's one of those things that we tend to put off, or we find somebody to do for us, is writing a resume. But I want you guys to be confident in writing your own resumes from here on out after this class. So quick question, show of hands for those of you in York, Lebanon, and Dolphin, because I can see your wonderful, gorgeous faces. True or false? The average recruiter spends around 2 minutes reviewing your resume. If you think that's true, raise your hand. A couple hands in York, maybe a hand or two in Dolphin. I believe somebody in the screen here, I'm not sure where they are, they're like, false. Well, the falses have it. The average recruiter, and that's the tricky word right there. We tricked you, trick question. The average recruiter spends about 5 to 7 seconds on each resume. And a recruiter, that's their 9 to 5 job, right? They know if a resume looks wonky, if there's something that's not supposed to be on there. That's their profession. Where an HR manager, which is for most of the jobs that we go to, they spend about 2 minutes. That's still not a lot of time, right? Hi, Perry County. Perry County got the right answer. But I tricked you, but you're smart. There we go. We're all smart. But anyway, the average HR professional will only look at your resume for about two minutes. That doesn't give you a lot of time to go either to, yeah, I'm going to call this person back, to, oh, no, this one's going to file 13. So we need to make sure that we make your resume stand out from the crowd. So why do we need a resume? Well, there's several reasons why we need a resume. It's required by most employers. Gone are the days where you can go in and say, hey, do you got a job? Yeah, here, fill out this paper application. It doesn't happen anymore, at least not as much as it was when I was a kid. You know, one of my first jobs was at the McDonald's in Shrewsbury. And all I did was walk in and say, I would like a job, and They handed me a paper application. I filled it out. They did an interview and I got the job. Now you need to upload resumes online, or you need to bring them to an interview. Most of the time it's online now. So it's really important to make sure that you have a resume prepared. Now, like I said, the resume world, the job world has changed. They want to make sure that your resume is no more than 2 pages long. And I'd really hesitate to make a resume 2 pages long, because employers want to see what you can offer them in a short and concise form. They don't want to read a novel about your work history. They want to be able to scan and be like, yep, this guy has all the key attributes that we're looking for. This gal has everything that we're looking for listed right here. Let's give her a call. They're not going to take the time. Remember, they look at it for like 2 minutes. They're not going to take the time to sit there and read a novel. Also, a resume allows you in the electronic world, most of you have heard of Indeed. It allows applicants who submit their resumes to be sorted by the ATS, which is the applicant tracking system, or the HR professional. Next one. So what is this applicant tracking system? That might be a new word for some of you guys. It's a robot, basically, but we'll look up the Wikipedia definition. So an applicant tracking system is a software application that enables the electronic handling of recruitment needs. So what it does is it takes out the time-consuming process of a human being sitting there sorting through resumes and cover letters that don't meet their qualifications. So basically, the ATS sends those resumes that fit the job description straight to the employer. Next point here is an ATS is designed for recruitment tracking purposes. In many cases, they filter, and this is important, guys. We're going to talk about this extensively, but you might want to write this down. The ATS filters. It has parameters. They automatically filter applications based on a given criteria or embedded program. You know that computers are black and white, right? There's like, oh no, but this guy seems really great in his cover letter. No, the ATS don't care. The ATS is cold-hearted. So the criteria that they look for in this ATS robot are things like keywords that are preset by the employer, skills. They even would look at former employers, and they definitely look most of the time years of experience. And if they want to be really picky, they can look at schools that you've attended in the past. So these can be very, super, super duper picky. Or they can hit basic things like keywords, skills, and years of experience. But it's really important that you understand there is no gray area here. It's black and white. So we're going to have to adapt to the way this is now. We don't want you to end up getting sorted. How many of you have sorted in a bad way? Let's put it that way. How many of you have been sending out resumes and hearing crickets? Not even crickets on Indeed. Raise your hand. You're like, I've applied for 1 million jobs. I mean, be honest. 1 million jobs on Indeed, and I have not heard one lick from nobody. If that's you, if you haven't heard anything back from the jobs you applied for, it could be because you're getting sorted out of the job pool, the candidate pool. Sorry. Like I said, you're going to have to adopt resume optimization techniques, similar to those used in the search engine optimization. Basically, those are big words for similar to what the ATS parameter has been set when you're creating and formatting your resume. Does that mean that you're going to have to be adjusting your resume frequently? Yes, sure does. So just go in knowing it, that you have to play the game to win. And if you need help with that, that's why CareerLink is here for you. There are people here that are more than happy to help you out. That's our job. And we like doing it. So quick multiple choice question for you guys. The ATS, like I said, the robots that read your resume, are able to quickly eliminate 25%, 50%, or 75% of applicants. How many think the answer is A, 25%? Raise your hand. How many of you think it's 50%? Raise your hand. See one hand. How many of you think it's 75%? Oh, you guys are so smart. It is absolutely 75% of the applicants. And I don't want any of you to fall into that 75% because you guys are awesome. And you're here at the CareerLink where we have all the secrets. So you can get past this robot. We have top secret spy stuff. All right, moving on. What the definition doesn't tell you in the ATS definition. And this is important. Number your paper 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 6 things I'm going to tell you. 6 things I'm going to tell you. 6 top secret squirrel stuff for writing a resume and getting past this robot. That is super important. I'll give you a second to do that. You're going to want this when you're sitting down and revamping your resume, guys. The number 1 is choose your font carefully. Ooh, font. That means the letter typing, the style of what your letters are. Font is super important because if you're using something crazy like wingdings, the computer's not gonna read it. So you want to find a font that is common, a common font. And those are Calibri, and if you want to write down, it's CALIBRI style font, Calibri. You can use Georgia, Arial. If you're not sure, ask somebody here. We can help you. But you actually want to stay away from, and it used to be like the standard, you can only use this Times New Roman. Times New Roman is actually getting kicked out by some ATS programs because the flourishes that are on the English flourishes that are on the sides, they're mistaking those for an extra character. Silly computer. So just use a plain font like Arial or Calibri. Works just fine. Nothing fancy. Oh, and a side note on the choose your font. No crazy colors, black and white when you're uploading to a computer, to a platform where you're uploading your resume. Do not use crazy colors. No blue, no red, no blah. Because I don't know if you guys know this or not, but there's actually programming that is within that color. Weird, and it can be misconstrued by the computer as well. So just black and white. It's perfect. Move on. All right, cool. Lots of things to talk about. This is my favorite page. Can you tell? I get excited. All right. Do or do not use a template. Templates are a program within a Word document. They have a recipe, a program in order to format your page correctly to make everything nice and pretty. Now, if you're setting a pre-programmed document into an ATS, chances are it can get kicked out. Now, people would argue, yeah, you can use a very basic one and it should be able to read it. I say don't take the chance. I would like you to just open up a Word document, blank Word document, just blank. Use a blank one. And if you need help with formatting, find somebody that's good at formatting. I actually love formatting resumes. I'm a geek, I guess, that way. But I don't think we should take the chance. If 75% of applicants are getting kicked out by this ATS, I don't want to give it any reason to kick mine out. So you might want to write down, use a blank document. And there are people that can help you format here at CareerLink as well. Blank document, no templates. All of these are very important. There's not one more important than the other. You need to heed all of these. We need you to do your research. Take good notes here, guys. You need to look at the job description, okay? When you're reading the job description, you want to match up keywords from that description to your resume. The best place to do this is either in your summary, otherwise known as old school objective. Write this down because you'll forget if you don't. Or you can do it in your skills. I have heard from other professionals, Forbes.com, that these ATSs want you to meet at least 80% of the keywords in your resume that are stated in the job description. So you need to match those. Now, that being said, don't lie on your resume. If you can't do those things in job description, do not put them on your resume. Okay? But if you can do that stuff, you need to make sure that you are mimicking it. Oh, yeah, I know how to use that technology. You put it in your skills part. Yeah, I've done those requirements and those procedures. Put it in your summary. Or mention it within the tasks that you did in some of your work experience. Another great place to hit the keyword percentage requirement is in your cover letter. The ATS needs to have something to find when it scans your resume to allow it to pass through without getting dumped. And that's why I'm beating this like a dead horse. Because if you don't do this, it's going to get dumped. It takes some practice. And yes, it's frustrating. But if there's a job, you're like, man, the pay is right. The location is right. The hours are awesome. You need to get it right so it doesn't get dumped. All right. No photos on your resume. There was a trend back in, I think, 2000, early 2000s, mid 2000s, where people were putting pictures of themselves on their resume. Don't do that. You confuse the ATS and it'll get dumped right away. Check for grammatical errors. Errors including misspelled words and words that the bot does not recognize. The robots sometimes will not recognize an acronym like ATS, right? So what you're going to have to do is spell out the full words first and then put in parentheses the acronym, okay? So let's just use automatic tracking system. So you would write automatic or applicant tracking system first, and then after that, you would put the ATS, the acronym for what that stands for. The ATS will process the words first. And how about that email address? The ATS recognizes emails and can eliminate yours for having an email like let's party 1999 at hotpants.com. Hopefully none of you, that's your email address. Use your name and a few numbers if necessary, if your name is common, and one that is easily recognized. That's an easily recognized email platform such as Outlook or Google, Gmail, you know what I mean, MSN. If you need help setting up an email, a new Gmail account, we can help you with that. But it's really important that you don't have like warm fuzzy kittens at grandma.com or anything like that. It needs to be your name, maybe a couple numbers at Gmail, at Outlook.com, or the ATS will kick it out. These are not only best practices, guys, but these are necessary. All of these. I hope you took good notes so that you can refer back to them when you're working on your resume. We want them to keep your resume in the keep pile. We want it to get to that human being that has a pair of eyeballs and can look at your resume. So make sure that you refer back to these when you're working on your resume. Ask if you're just using the computer resource center, ask some of the attendants that are in there, hey, I heard this today. Can you explain it to me a little bit more? They should be able to explain it to you and help you as well. All right, so let's move on. So we're going to talk about types of resumes or resume formats. You might have heard them referred to before. The most common one is our reverse chronological. If any of you have written a resume in the past, this is your style or format of resume. We also have the functional resume, or we have a hybrid or a combination, which pretty much is just a combination of the first two, right? If you haven't heard about those, we can talk about them a little bit more. But I want you to know there are no other types of resume formats out there. There's only three: reverse chronological, functional, and combination. I've always called it a combination resume. Now they're calling it a hybrid. I have a little video. You guys have a sample of a resume in front of you. One of them, I believe, is Joe Oberon, and on the back is Miranda Lopez, and then Jamie Dungy. You should have all three of those in your handouts. This video is going to actually go through those quickly, and I'm going to share it with you. Give me one moment. is a nice little video. It's from GCF Learn Free. And GCF stands for Goodwill Community Foundation. You also have a paper a sheet of paper that has a resource list for you. And that website is on there for you. And you can go back in and watch that video again if you'd like to. All right, so let's talk about these different formats. So as you see up here in red, you see the first one is chronological or reverse chronological, I like to say. Obviously, it says most often done in reverse order. I can tell you it's always done in reverse chronological order. It includes your job titles, just like it was stated in the video, your dates of employment, and a description of the employment span in terms of your accomplishments and measurable tasks. So I know that we kind of get stuck basically listing our job duties underneath our work experience. I'm going to encourage you to really sit down and think about your last position and what you learned there and what you're able to achieve. So an example of that would be if you were in a supervisor's position, you can say supervised a team of 25 employees, or was able to keep the budget in the black for blah, 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 blah. However, you can make your achievements or accomplishments quantifiable. And it takes a minute to sit down and think about, like, what did I do in the last 5 years in this place? You know, sit down and write them out. They want to know that you're a doer. My old boss, she's awesome. She's still a friend of mine. She wrote on there, on her computer, she had a little piece of paper. Outcomes are expected. A lot of companies that you work for are looking for your outcomes, what you can produce, what your outcomes are. So think about your outcomes in your last position and apply those to your resume. This reverse chronological resume works best for job seekers who have had a steady employment history or previous employment related to the position being sought. Okay. How many of you are familiar with this format? Raise your hand. Yeah, pretty much all of us, right? The most popular. All right, the next one we have is a functional resume. A functional resume, it groups skills into functional skill categories. So I used this resume when I got out of a trade school to highlight my education. Or if you have transferable skills, it highlights those applicable skills and experience into one chunk in those clusters. And it also shares your experience without revealing any lapse in employment. So if you had a time where maybe you had a sick parent or a sick child, or you were sick that you had to take maybe an FMLA for an extended amount of time, you can use this type of resume to kind of hide those employment lapses. It works best for job seekers who have gaps in their employment history, little work experience. So it's good for the high schooler as well. Or they recently changed careers, which I had done, and that's why I highlighted my trade school experience in a functional resume. With that being said, it is disliked by hiring managers because they like to see that you have a steady employment history. All right, so keep that in mind. I'm going to talk about the third format real quick. Actually, not as quick. So the combination resume format, like we said earlier, it combines the functional resume and the reverse chronological resume. So we're not upsetting our hiring managers, right? They want to see that you had, jobs. And sometimes if you had a job for a long time and then you had a little bit of a dip in your lapse of employment, if you're able to stay at a place for a significant amount of time, I wouldn't worry too much about that lapse in employment. It includes functional skills categories, but also lists the dates of previous employment. This format works well for job seekers who may have attained the required skills from seemingly unrelated industries or jobs. So you're like, oh, well, as a manager here, but this is a different kind of, trade or whatever, profession, but I have the same skills. This format works well when you want to highlight managerial skills or any other skills that might relate to the same job, just under a different title. Oftentimes, this is used for our military men and women who have retired, or ETS, meaning they ended their service, and they want to move into the civilian sector. They'll often use this type of resume to highlight the skills and abilities that they've had acquired in the military and how they can translate into the civilian workforce. So if you need help with that, there's also resources for that under your GCF website as well. And I believe also Career One Source also helps with transferable skills. This resume is also great if you're trying to change careers and want to emphasize those transferable skills. See, I got ahead of myself. Look at that. And if you have a steady work history, great place to highlight that as well. I get to talking and forget where my PowerPoint's at. All right. So let's talk about parts of a resume. These are super important. If you haven't done one in a while, you might want to write these down. You also have in front of you a resume writing tips paper. I hope so. It should have like a big tan or gray. I don't know if I printed this out for you guys. If I didn't, I apologize. We'll get you one. Should look kind of like this. Might be gray. You guys have that? Lebanon does. If York doesn't, I'll get you one. I'm sorry. I think I missed one. I was helping Courtney out this morning. But I will get it to you. But it's better to take notes anyway, because that's how you retain the information. All right. So parts of a resume. Obviously, you need your contact information, right? So they can contact you. Kind of important. So education, we're going to talk about that. Relevant experience or work experience, we're going to talk about that. I'm going to slow down, and you guys can write these down, take wonderful, beautiful notes. And then, whoa, hey, that's not what I wanted to do. Technical skills, and then activities and honors awards. So let's break these down one by one. So your first one, contact information. Lots of great notes here for this, guys. At 9 o'clock in the morning. You're welcome. So obviously you're going to need your name. That's going to be bolded. No nicknames here, okay? Just use your given name. The one that's on your ID, the one that Uncle Sam wants to know. And then your address. Now, I want you to take some notes for this because this is interesting. So a lot of you understand that you're uploading your resume onto Indeed and any other job search platform. All you need to put on there is your phone number and an email address. Some people put their city and their state. That's fine. But you need to understand that everybody in the whole wide world can see that. Whoever wants to look at it. So phone number, email address is great. If you have a LinkedIn account, this is a great place to put that there. If you don't have a LinkedIn account, get one. And if you feel like it's old school and you want to put your city and state, that's great. But it's not necessary. All right. Your email address. Again, make sure it's not crazy. Just your name, maybe some numbers at Gmail, Outlook, Yahoo, MSN. Okay? Make sure your email address is on there. I just said that. Here I am getting ahead of myself. And your phone number. All right, let's talk about education. So we want you to put your education in there. Make sure that you put your most advanced education first. So reverse chronological order. If you have college, traditional college, you want to make sure that you add your graduation date. You want to put your major and your minor, if you had a minor. If you were ever on the dean's list, or if you graduated with honors, or you're part of a National Honor Society, put that on there. If your GPA was awesome, and I would say anything higher than a 3.7 would be awesome. That varies in opinion. But if it doesn't work to your advantage, if you graduated with a 2.0 and just barely got by, don't put that on there. That's not good. Technical school. Those of you who went to trade schools, I've been in both. Love them both. I love education. It's great. So if you've gone to a technical school or you've gotten a credential, certifications in order of date, you want to put those in order of date. Unless there is a certificate that most reflects your job search. You want to put that one first. If you have credentials, only add them if they kind of go with the title of the position that you're looking for. If not, you can add those in your skills section. And then you can also put any other skills that you have that might be unrelated, any extra credentials in your skill section as well. If you have post-secondary education, meaning college or trade school, you do not need to add your high school. Pretty cool. Might want to take a note there. You guys should have a paper there with action-oriented word list, which is awesome. Got to click the button. So depending on what type of resume you pick, if you're doing reverse chronological order, you're going to have a work experience heading bolded out. If you're doing a functional resume, you're going to have a relevant experience bolded out section, right? Easy for someone to see with their eyes. When you are putting in this work experience part or relevant experience part of your resume, you want to start with a job title first. Job title first. The company for which you worked, the job title, company, city and state, and then you honestly, guys, you can take out the month, just put the years that you were there. So let's say you worked someplace from January 2002 until February 2012. Just put 2002 to 2012. You don't need the dates on your resume, like the month date. You need the year, but you don't need the month. It's not necessary. But if you like that, If you like that format, that's all to you. That's the wonderful thing about resumes. They're very personal. And then with your job duties that you're going to list underneath, I'm going to ask you to use bullets. Bullet points are wonderful. They're easy for someone to read. Remember, guys, you want your resume to be reader-centered, right? You want it to be ATS approved, but you also, when it gets to human, you want it to be reader-centered. So bullet points are fine. One line of text per bullet point. That might be hard for some of you. Again, refer to the job description. You can put some of those tasks in here. And then start each bullet point with an action verb. That's those words that are on that action-oriented word list that we handed out. So if you need some ideas, accelerated, achieved, assembled, authorized, capitalized, ensured, innovated, power words. Use power words in each one of your bullet points. And then make sure that all of your verb tenses match across your document. A wonderful program that I use all the time, and it's the base model, I could say, of this program is called Grammarly. If you have a hard time with getting your verb tenses correct, me, check out Grammarly. You can run your resume through there, and it will fix you up. Free. For the basic version, can save you a lot of frustration. And again, we want you to use numbers or quantifying examples in your resume experience. So supervise 10 staff, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. At this point, if I was standing right there, I'd be like, any questions? But if you have any questions, write them down so you don't forget. And then you can ask one of us, folks here at the CareerLink, to help you. So each of us have a different skill set as far as our technical skills go. Technical skills are skills that you have that make you more desirable for the employer for whatever job you're applying. So there are a lot of professions that use a lot of different kind of technical skills out there, technology and machines and programming and all of that stuff. So make sure that you're sitting down and you're remembering all those platforms and technical skills that you may have performed at your old job. They want to see that you got the skills to pay the bills. Those technical skills are really important. Now, if some of that technology is 20 years old and it's phased out, don't age yourself by sharing that information. If you use the most current technology, make sure you're adding that in there. Some of that old stuff is, antiquated and gone, and not relevant to a position, some positions now. So make sure you're not, putting a timestamp on yourself that makes you look irrelevant. So activities and honors. Woo-hoo. Activities and honors, which may include actual awards, volunteer activities, certificates, or other special commendations or significant activity can be put in this section of your resume. Examples of that could be a hospital volunteer, which you've been recognized, a member of an organization's board or committee. Some of you have some civil service experience under your belt. Maybe you helped at the polls yesterday and you've been recognized for that civil service. Put it on here. Share it. If you worked at a food bank, if you were an Eagle Scout or had Honor Scout or Scout Honors, a Gold Service Award recipient, if you have any Microsoft certifications and credentials, it's a great place to put these, okay? Right. So here's some. I'm not going to ask some questions. I want to do it on my own web pages you guys can go to. All right. So we have Hack. Hack has a career coach that can help you with building your resume. It creates a text-only resume suitable for uploads. Pretty cool, huh? Check it out. You also have My Perfect Resume. You can pick a template and get started, but don't forget to follow the rules. This can help you with formatting. Like, oh, what should it look like? Let's see if I can get it to look like this. They might have a simple template that you can do. But again, that's not my favorite, but we have to share it with you. And then GCF Learn Free gives you a great guidelines to creating your own resume template in Word or Google Docs. Again, I would like you guys to use a blank document and just go from there. One word of caution, phishing. There are so many scam resume building websites out there, guys. They're like, oh yeah, upload your information and we'll bang you out a resume. What it does is they just want your information so they can mine your data, your email, blah, blah, blah. So I'm just going to encourage you to stick to the resources that we've given you, such as coming to this workshop, going to your CareerLink CareerLink website. You can go to schools or universities or any other trusted site. And if you're going to be on the internets, look for, I know that these are .coms, which is fine, on these three, but when you're looking for resume tools, you're going to want to look for a .edu, .gov, G-O-V, or a .org. When you get into the .coms, they get a little iffy, but these are good ones. These are good ones for you. Okay. Guys, I have had so much fun teaching you today and sharing this awesome information. You have some wonderful, wonderful room monitors there that would like to collect some papers from you. I believe it's that EEO form, that first one they gave you. If you have any questions, you can ask them and they can direct you in the right way. If you're currently working with a career advisor, please reach out to them directly to help you with your resume as well. That's why we're here. Guys, we want to make sure that you're not tossed into the sorting bin of terror and you're not part of that 75%. I wish you all luck. And I know that if you take these essential rules that you learned today and apply them well, that you should be out and working before you know it. All right. Y'all have a wonderful day. Again, thank you, room moderators, for being awesome. And thank you, participants, for trusting us to help you with your job search. Have a great day.